Hello and welcome once again to HRN Revive TV. I'm your host today, Arnold Threatt, and we will be starting a very new series, and we'll be looking at the sons of Noah, why they're important and how they are impacting our world as we look at it today. So I'm going to ask you, if you will, to go to Genesis chapter 10. And this will be basically the foundation of our study as we start out. We'll be referring back to this. We'll be bringing a lot of other scriptures into being here, but this is the basic scriptures that we're going to be working from. So as we go and read this, we'll try to pronounce all the Hebrew names there, and hopefully you'll get an idea about the names, how they're pronounced, and what they mean to us in our culture today. So as we begin in Genesis chapter 10, verse 1, and these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, Japheth, and sons were born to them after the flood. So he's identifying that these are all the sons, and as he goes through this now, he'll be listing the lengthy generational ties to all of these from these separate people groups who he names as nations. So as we pick up in verse 2, the sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Yavin, Tubal, Meshach, and Tyrus. And Gomer's sons were Ashkenaz, Ripah, Togarmah. Javin's sons were Elishah, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanium. By these, the coast of the nations were divided into their lands, each by his tongue and by their families in their nations. So that was Japheth's sons. In verse 6 here, we pick up where Ham is listed, and Ham's sons were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush were Seba and Havilah, Sabtah, Ramah, and Sabteka. And Ramah's sons were Sheba and Dedan, and Cush fathered Nimrod. He began to be a mighty hero in the land. He was a great hunter before Yahweh, so it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahweh. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Ekron, and Akkad, and Chaldea, in the land of Shinar. So here we take a little break and identify that Shinar is that place that seems to attract so many people to move there, like Lot and others. And in that wealthy river bottom, if you will, seems to be where a lot of things go amok. So as we continue to look then, verse 11, from that land he went forth to Assyria and built Nineveh and Rehoboth, the city, and Calah and Rezin between Nineveh and Calah, which is a great city. And Mizraim fathered Ludum, and Anaim, and Lehiam, and Naphtulihim, and Parushim, and Kalunum, from whom came the Philistines and the Cappatorium. And Canaan fathered his firstborn, Sidon and Heath, and the Jebusites, and the Amorite, and the Girgashite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Zemarite, and the Hammonite. And afterwards the families of the Canaanites were dispersed. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon as you come to Gera, as far as Gaza, as you go in towards Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zebonium, even to Lashay. These were the sons of Ham, according to their families, according to their tongues, in their countries and in their nations. Now, I want to pause here before I start in verse 21 to remind us a lot of these names are very familiar, and before we are completed with this series, we will identify some of these into their modern nation groups that are still carrying on their ancestral heritage all the way back to the flood. So we see things haven't really changed. So we pick up in verse 21, and to Shem was born even to him the father of all the sons of Eber, the brother of Japheth the elder. And the sons of Shem were Elam and Asher and Arpachshad and Lud and Aram. And Aram's sons were Uz and Hul and Geter and Mash. And Arpachshad fathered Canaan, and Canaan fathered Selah, and Selah fathered Eber. 2 sons were born to Eber, and the names of one was Peleg, for in his days the earth was divided. And his brother's name was Yoktan, and Yoktan fathered Almadad, and Shephlah, and Hazarvareth, and Yirah, and Hadaram, and Uziel, and Diklah, and Obal, and Abimael, and Sheba, and Ophrah, and Havilah, and Yokbad. These all were the sons of Yoktan, and their dwelling was from Mishiah as you go to Shephar, and eastern mountain. These were the sons of Shem, according to their families, according to their tongues, in their lands, according to their nations. These were the families of the sons of Noah by their generations in their nations, and from these the nations were divided in the earth after the flood. Wow. What an ancestral bunch that even trans into our day and our generation. So again, I would refer back to this as the basics of the scriptures that we will be studying. And I ask you to please become familiar and do your own word studies on some of these names and generations as we will be looking at them in the near future. I now want to change gears a little bit and share some thoughts with you about why the struggle that we have today is so severe and so important to us. And one of the thought processes that we're dealing with at River of Life and amongst other communities as well is, who has the right to rule? And where did that right come from? I want to start in the 20th chapter of Deuteronomy, which is the blessing and cursings chapter, as Moses is bringing back to the minds of the people who are about to cross into the promised land under Joshua, and he's bringing all these things back to mind. So as we read these things, people who are set apart under Yahweh, chosen to be his people, will have these blessings that go with them. So as we pick up in Deuteronomy 28, verse 1, and it shall be, if you will listen to the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, taking heed to do all his commandments, which I command you this day. Please note here, Moses is making clear whose commandments these are. They are the Creator Yahweh's commandments, but he's reminding them, you have to adhere, you have to obey. Yahweh your Elohim shall give you to be on high above all nations of the earth. Wow, what a statement. All these blessings shall come on you and overtake you if you will listen to the voice of Yahweh your Elohim. You shall be blessed in the city, you shall be blessed in the field. The fruit of your body shall be blessed, and the fruit of your ground, the fruit of your livestock, the offspring of your oxen, the young ones of your flock. Your basket and your kneading trough shall be blessed. You shall be blessed when you come in, you shall be blessed when you go out. Yahweh shall cause your enemies to rise up against you, to be stricken before your face. They shall come out against you one way and flee before you 7 ways. Yahweh shall command the blessings on you in your storehouses, and all that you set your hand to. He shall bless you in the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving to you. Yahweh shall establish you a holy people to himself, as he has sworn to you, if you shall keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim and walk in his ways. And all the peoples of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of Yahweh, and they shall be afraid of you, not because you are Israel, but because of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, your Elohim, which they cannot refuse is the only true living Elohim, as Pharaoh found out himself. So what people group, as we go on and make some more establishments from the scriptures that state that Yahweh's people Israel has the right to rule because he chose them so. So as we look in Genesis 12, 1 through 4, we see this account. Yahweh said to Abram, "Go out from your land and from your kindred and from your father's house to the land which I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, and you will be a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you and curse those who despise you. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed." And Abram went out even as Yahweh had spoken to him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was a son of 75 years when he departed from Haran. So you see the same language is in this blessing here that he puts in Deuteronomy 28. It's the same blessing. So Father Abraham was blessed, and when he heard the voice of Yahweh, he immediately got up and left Haran, which was his native land. We also see in Genesis 15 where Yahweh is establishing him as he walks through the 2 halves as a blessing, a demonstration, a covenant, if you will, between Abram and Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. We pick up in verse 12 of chapter 15 of Genesis. And it happened as the sun was setting, and a deep sleep fell on Abram, and behold, a terror of great darkness was falling on him. And he said to Abram, "Surely you must know that your seed shall be an alien in a land not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And I also will judge the nation whom they shall serve, and afterwards they shall come out with great substance. And you shall come to your fathers in peace, and you shall be buried in a good old age, and in the 4th generation they shall come here again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full until now." Now, that, brothers and sisters, is a very profound statement that we see the heart and nature of the Father, who is taking Israel out of the way and putting them down in Mizraim until the Amorites' wickedness has reached its potential, its full level. So we see Father here very merciful and gracious, waiting for the descendants of Ham to make things right, and they never do. So the Amorite here is the one that we also read about, who was Ham's descendants back in verse 16 of our initial reading. So here we see that the wicked had not changed. They were still the wicked people that they were. So let's look at Exodus 20, verses 1 through 6, and see what is spoken of here. Elohim spoke all these words, saying, "I am Yahweh your Elohim, who has brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. You shall not have any other Elohim before my face. You shall not make a graven image for yourself, or any likeness in the heavens above, or in the earth beneath, or in the waters under the earth. You shall not bow to them, you shall not serve them, for I am Yahweh your Elohim, a jealous El, visiting the iniquity of fathers on son, on the third and on the fourth generation, to those who hate me, and doing kindness to thousands, to those loving me, and to those keeping my commandments. Now here again we see a couple of things about the heart and nature of our Father that we need to focus on as we go through these next few weeks of looking at the sons of Noah. He says here, to those who hate me. In other words, they made a choice to deliberately not obey the commandments of Yahweh. Ham had the option of obeying or not obeying what was passed down through Noah to him after the flood even. So we see here they had an option to do that, and Ham, right off the bat, chose not to because he looked upon the nakedness of his father, and whatever that means, it was not good. It set him aside because he never repented as an evil person. So as we look at these different aspects that Yahweh is showing to us here, there's a few words I'd like for us to focus on and remember. One of these statements was made recently by our shepherd here at ROL, and I wanted to bring this up because it's profound, and listen to it because it's very important for us to see it from where we get our news perspective from. Fear makes us hear another person other than Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. And I'm going to read that again. Fear makes us hear another person other than Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. And my question here is, what is our news source? Hopefully and prayerfully, you're not spending so much time gathering external news sources, which I would make a statement here, and I realize I'm going out on a limb and it may offend some people, but maybe we need to be offended to jar us from where we are. We have so many options for news media, but I asked a question the other day. Can you please name me a social media outlet that speaks of being set apart, born again unto Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, the creator of the universe, through his son Yeshua, guided by his spirit and keeping his teachings and instructions? If you can name me such a news source, I would be more than willing to go there. But until now, if I have to listen to a news source and determine if it's telling the truth or not, when I can go to the righteous news source, which is Yahweh's word, which is applicable for all generations, because the sin is the same as it was in the garden. We chose out of fear to listen to someone else other than Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, and we're still at it today. I want to use a proof text here of Hebrews chapter 2, starting in verse 14 through 18, as a reflection upon who and what should be our news source. Verse 14 says, "Since then the children have partaken of flesh and blood, in like manner he himself also shared the same things, that through death he might cause to cease the one having the power of death, that is, the devil, and might release them who through fear of death are all their lives subject to bondage. For he did not take on the likeness of cherubs, but he takes on him the seed of Abraham. Wherefore it was right that he should in every manner resemble his brethren, that he might be merciful and a high priest, faithful in the things of Elohim, and might make reconciliation for the sons of the people. For since he himself has suffered being tempted, he is able to help others who are tempted. He was tempted like you and I in those three areas: the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye, and the pride of life. That, my friends, is the news source that we need to recognize would captivate us into fearing something else other than Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. He is the only fear that we have. And when we are listening to what everybody else is saying, that in most cases is generated by fear. They have to have you fear something to hear what they have to say. So they are systematically dividing you away from the teaching and instructions of the Father through the element of fear. So oftentimes we would excuse ourselves, pleading ignorance, which is a excuse stuffed with a lie. Now, remember that, because that is worth remembering. An excuse is the skin of a reason stuffed with a lie. He is the answer for all things that concern you and I. Here again, I go back to the scriptures in Psalms 8, starting in verse 1. To the chief musician on the harp, a psalm of David. O Yahweh, our Master, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory above the heavens. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings you have ordained strength because of the ones distressing you, to cause the enemy and the avenger to cease. When I look upon your heavens and the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have fixed, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you visit him? For you have made him lack a little from Elohim, and have crowned him with glory and honor. You made him rule over the works of your hands. You have put all under his feet, all flocks and oxen and all animals of the field, the birds of the heavens, the fish of the sea, all that pass through the sea. O Yahweh, our Master, how majestic is your name in all the earth. When we focus in on how majestic the name of our Creator is, and we refuse to label him with any of the religious identities that so many people have a tendency to label him with, he is Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, the Creator of the universe, in whom all life is sustained. So as we look at the sons of Noah, we ask our question, what makes people evil in Yahweh's sight? We again have to go back to the scripture. And as we read this scripture, it's out of Deuteronomy 29, verse 16 through 21. And he's talking to his children, Israel, right again before they go into the promised land. And listen to what he says about what evil is. Verse 16, for you know how we lived in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the nations through which you passed, and you have seen their detestable things, their idols of wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them, that there not be among you man or woman or family or tribe whose heart turns away today from Yahweh our Elohim to go and serve the gods of their nations. Lest there should be among you today a root that bears gall and wormwood. And it happened when he hears the words of this curse that he should bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, even though I walk in the stubbornness of my heart, to snatch away the drunken with the thirsty. Yahweh will not be willing to forgive him, for then the anger of Yahweh and his zeal shall smoke, and his zeal shall be against that man, and all the curses written in this book shall lie upon him. And Yahweh shall blot out his name from under the heavens, and Yahweh shall set him apart to evil. Out of all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the Torah. Please understand this. Yahweh said here very clearly, when you know what you need to do and you reason within your heart, even though I know what I need to do, I am going to be all right. I have a stubborn, stiff-necked heart. But Yahweh says, when you know these things and you choose to disobey me, I will turn you over as evil, will blot out your name from the book, and you will be set to do evil the rest of your days. Remember what he said about those who do evil will be passed from the third and the fourth generation? Until people wake up and realize the unrighteousness of disobeying the Creator of the universe by not keeping his teachings and instructions, that puts you in the camp of being evil if you are not careful. So as we go through this study and we see all the different characters that we will be looking at from Noah's day to our generation, let us be very careful that we have not and do not pick up any of the evil things that belong to those who have denied Yahweh, set themselves apart to be designated by him as being evil. I encourage you as we get into this, because this is a time of self-examination. As King David said in Psalms 139, and the last two verses of that chapter says, search me, try me, see if there be a wicked way in me. We have spoken this several times in these series that we've been talking about the Creator of the universe. This is what we have to do. It is up to us to ask the Father to reveal to us the wickedness that is in us, so that we do not have to go through the tribulation that's going to come on all those who have allowed themselves to be enticed by the wicked one and go his way. Tribulation is coming, my friends. Let us not be offended at the word of Elohim. Let us be embraced by the word of Elohim and follow it with a full heart, joyfully keeping his teachings and instructions, hearing his Holy Spirit, being guided by our relationship through Yeshua HaMashiach, and let us be excited about seeing the things that may keep us from passing through the gate into life and have the gate closed on us in the very end. So I look forward to this. I pray that you do. So as we start to look at this thing about the sons of Noah, let us find ourselves in the righteous camp of Shem. So until then, the next time, shalom and peace to you.